Who else needs one?
I'm thankful for this journey with all these fun friends.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The thing that everybody does for these transits is the phrase everyone uses is go south till the butter melts. And the idea is that you go way south and this long-term clockwise swirling wind pattern called the Azores High, the trade winds, and you kind of swoop around from the south to get to the Caribbean. We saw that Azores High isn't where it usually is. It's way north. It's actually all the way like parallel with England. And so we decided to go straight out into the ocean into a low pressure system, which is usually rougher weather. With the forecast, hopefully that the Azores High would come down. It would sort of obliterate the low pressure system. Lots of rain and lightning usually involved in that process. But then a clear run straight to Puerto Rico, and it's turning out that way. We got really strong winds. We just hit 24 knots, which is kind of insane, and speed on the boat. And the wind is sort of peaking at 30 right now. And so we're headed straight for Puerto Rico. Hopefully that'll get us there quick.
Yeah, waves are pretty tough for cooking, or really for anything down below. We were talking about it earlier, and it's sort of like you have to work really hard to stay upright or move around the cabin. So what ends up happening is, if you're not on deck, either for your shift or enjoying the sun as we have today, then you're probably below lying down because it doesn't take the energy to stay upright.
You're in constant motion, whether you're in your bunk, walking around the boat, or actively upsailing the boat. Thankfully, the autopilot helped a lot at night, especially when it was really rough with big waves and wind, because that tears you down pretty quickly.
When you're down below deck resting, it's terrifying. It sounds like there is a freight train trying to exit the orbit of the Earth somehow.
We try to generate as little trash as possible. We depackaged as much food as we could before we loaded it on the boat. So we left as much as we could on shore, but there's a lot of stuff that we still have to have. So we kind of divide up the trash that we have into some different categories. For anything organic, so leftover food bits, paper, things like that, we will put in the ocean, give it to the ocean. And the aluminum cans, we have some of those, we'll crush those, and we're keeping them to recycle when we get back to land. And then everything else, the plastics and non-organics, we're actually putting in trash bags, kind of sturdy trash bags, and we're actually putting them up in the anchor locker, which is at the very, very front of the boat. So we don't generate a lot of trash, but generally it's about every 2 or 3 days we have to take a bag up to the foredeck.
Stay low. I'm cooking dinner. We've got hamburgers and tomatoes and onions on top, and a very steep heel to try to stay upright on. So you notice that the stove is rocking back and forth with the boat. So it's on a pivot point, or what's called a gimbal.
I am not on a gimbal.
Mike is not on a gimbal. And yeah, it basically just keeps the surface pretty flat while the rest of the boat's rocking around it. And it makes it slightly easier to cook.
So we sort of have 3 phases. We start with the fresh stuff. You know, lots of produce and fruit for the first 3, 4, 5 days, however long it lasts, and we'll eat a lot of that pretty quickly. And then we move on to refrigerated and frozen stuff. And then we'll use some cans along the way, but most of the cans that we bought are sort of an insurance policy. There are a few things we need for hygiene. Floss and toothbrushes. Okay. It's hard to buy stuff when you don't understand the language. But this looks like baking soda and... yeah, okay. Where do you think the yeast is?
Levadura.
Oh, you're the best. Soda and beer. And we should get some pretzels, but those don't seem to be very European.
Canned mushrooms. Did you get fresh mushrooms?
I did get fresh ones, but let's get some cans of that too.
Okay. Big cans. Sliced already?
Omelets. Did you get eggs?
I did.
Like 150?
Yeah, 125.
Perfect. Bunch of onions. 3 heads of cabbage. Come back to that. Get one of those. Potatoes. We have a ton of potatoes. Spinach was not a big hit, so we're not doing that again. Celery, we got 4 heads, close enough. Peas. A lot of frozen peas, but well, we have some frozen peas, but no place to put them, so we're gonna get these nasty buggers. Cucumbers, they're not gonna last. Squash do not last. Green avocado, I need to get. Garlic we got. Hard tomatoes doesn't really exist, but we got some. Peppers, we got some, but they don't last long. Hummus. Chicken, we got some, but it's hard to store. Beef and lamb, same thing. Sausage and bacon, we got a bunch of that. Dried salami, got a bunch. Ham and prosciutto, got a bunch. Turkey, got a bunch. Dried beans, we got a bunch. Just finished up our shopping. We've got 4 full carts. So 16 days, 8 people, 1,000 meals-ish. And we still have some food on the boat. This is our advent calendar.
It was a bit of a carrot disaster.
Last bite.
That's tuna. Supposedly.
Give him a beer.
In there.
It does that.
20
20 pounds of cheese.
Wow.
Did we get some Peptos or what's gonna help
Miralax?
pass the cheese? Yeah, that's it.
Got it. Or it could just be good old seasickness.
Wednesday day?
Wednesday day.
We cooked turkey breast, and mashed potatoes with some carrots in them, and broccoli. And it was not easy. Cheers.
Who else? Keep one?
I'm thankful for this journey with all these fun friends.
Oh my goodness.
I'm thankful for the autopilot.
What is the name of that forest?
Sure.
Gravity?
Alright. Yeah, sitting on the side here is probably really hard to back. Do you want to sit?
I'm okay.
Alright,
We
gone the last day and a half with at least 2 reefs in the sail. I just came up for morning watch and we shook out a reef. The wind is down, the seas are down, the sun just came up, and I think it seems like everyone had a little bit more smooth sleep down below, so that's a plus.